Hello, hello, good evening. Hello. Welcome to Afro-Picks. My name is Major Nesby, also known as Major in Motion on all social media platforms. And if you're joining us for the first time, Afro-Picks is a show where we dive a little deeper into some of your most favorite shows, films, and series. Today, we're going to be featuring Ehcrama Marche, and this is all brought to you by the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute. So yes, here we go. But before I bring her out, I just want to make sure that everyone knows about her work, Hella Black Mexican. If you haven't already, please, please, please do yourself a favor and check out this series. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt like it was such an amazing, amazing, amazing take on intersectional identity. And yeah, so let's bring out Ehcrama Marche.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm really good. I'm really, really, really good. How's everything? How's your energy?
My energy is great. I've been waiting for this day because I was very excited to come on here and just talk about Hella Black Mexican and vibe a little bit. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. I am super, super excited to have this conversation with you because I feel like I said to our audience, I feel like your series is such an interesting take on intersectional identity, and the way you're navigating it through animation also is just super, super refreshing to see. Have you always been a fan of animation, or how did you get started on that journey?
So when I was a lot younger, I was into stop motion because that's all I knew how to do with my mom's little flip phone. And so I think when I was younger, I did have the dream of having my own cartoon. But I ended up going to the Los Angeles Film School, once I graduated high school, to learn about cinematography because that was the route I wanted to take. And so fast forward to about a few years later when the whole pandemic happened and I couldn't go out and actually shoot videos because everybody was just buying toilet paper and just locked inside their houses.
Exactly.
That's when I wanted to still create content, and I just wanted to find a way how to do it without having to be on set, obviously because of the virus. And so I took it upon myself to just learn these skills and tell my story that way because Hello Black Mexican was actually going to be this little live show. So it's actually me. I actually have the real dress as well. And so, yeah, but we had put everything on pause and it was just let's just do a cartoon. And
so wait, you learned animation, how to create animated series during quarantine?
Yeah, so during quarantine, the voiceovers, the editing, I was already skilled in editing. It was more so the animation stuff just was kicking my butt, but it was cool. It was really fun, and it's crazy to see now how many people are wow, this is me. This is so relatable. Because when I was doing it, it was kind of just I just wanted to tell my story, and then now it's all these people who experienced the same exact thing as me, but I experienced it alone. It's great to see there's all these other people feeling the same way.
Okay, that's amazing. I had no idea that you learned. I mean, obviously, you mentioned that you have a background in editing, but that you learned this skill that is super. I mean, one thing I've just really enjoyed about watching the episodes is how clever you are. You are funny. You are funny. How you kind of tie in all of these stories, I thought was super, super, like I told you before, super refreshing. Have you always been funny?
That is funny. Okay. So there's this guy, his name is LV. He actually has helped me develop this in the beginning. And he would always tell me he'd look at me and be like, dude, you're a cartoon character. And I would take a little bit offense to it before because I was just how am I a cartoon? But he's just the way you talk and move, it's just so animated, and your features, the way you act is so animated. And so I think then is when I was just like, oh, I guess I'm funny, but oh, actually I'm lying. In high school I got voted most funniest, most
Me too.
clown. But see, my theory with this is that I just got voted that because I'm Black. Like, I'm just not that funny, you know? But like,
I'm here to tell you, you are hilarious. I literally, and I watched some of your other content as well, and I was like, you are hilarious, like hilarious. Like, I've really, 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 really enjoyed it. So for those that don't know, can you describe a little bit about like what Hella Black Mexican is?
okay, so Hella Black Mexican is this cartoon telenovela series on YouTube of a young girl whose life changes when she realizes she's Black. So she grows up in Montebello, which is a predominantly Hispanic area. No one there looks like her. And then her mother's from Michoacan. Her half brother, who's fully Mexican. So she always just felt like she didn't belong. And it's basically her journey navigating to see like who she truly is and coming to find her true identity.
Okay. Well, that's it. Yes. So like the episode that I'm thinking of in particular, it was kind of like I felt as though a lot of people can kind of relate to feeling like you're the only one representing a much larger community, whether you have the skills or the language to do so or not. So let's take a look at that one.
Luther King Jr. today. He did so much for America. One, he helped end racism, which is a big deal. And two, he made us love Black people.
In other words, she was racist.
And that helped change their lives in America. Isn't that right, Ehcrama?
Wait, she's Black?
Segregation and racism were like a big deal. Like, they affected everyone. Think about someone like Brittany right here with her like beautiful blonde golden hair and crisp blue eyes. Someone like Ehcrama over here with her...
Es Ehcrama, mi amor, con piel de Coco Crispies y el pelo chino como...
Pedro.
Ay.
Pedro was also interesting.
Someone like Ehcrama over here with her brown curly hair and brown eyes would be so ugly back then. But now...
Ehcrama? Actually, Ehcrama doesn't sound that bad.
Because of the end of segregation and racism, thanks Martin Luther King Jr., we can like accept the way she looks now. And that is change.
¿Qué estamos viendo?
Huh?
All right, guys, that's the bell. Okay, you're going to be heading out to the playground for recess. Remember, when you get back, we're going to have a pop quiz on why we like Black people. All right, go have fun out there. Don't get special answers from Ehcrama, okay? All right? It's a pop quiz.
I loved attention. I just didn't understand why they were looking at me.
I have to ask, did this actually happen to you, this particular experience?
The experience, yes. We actually like boosted up like the dialogue a lot more so that, you know, you could kind of feel actually what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was 10 years old. I was like in 4th grade. My teacher wasn't racist, but you know, the way she would like explained it and the way the kids started looking at me, the moment just felt very like intense. And like at the same time, it's like discovering like, oh wait, I am Black, I am different. And then just like being able to really see the room and seeing that I'm not like them and they're not like me. So it didn't exactly happen like that, but
Right.
that's exactly how it felt. to like little 10-year-old Ehcrama.
How did you like navigate? Like, okay, so what we just saw, it's like, okay, oh, okay, so I am different than everyone else. Like, was that like the moment where the light bulb kind of went off and was like, okay, so what does this mean for me? Like, how did you navigate? Like, I'm not like the rest of everyone.
Well, it was kind of funny because so there was me, like a dark black girl, and there was also another classmate of mine who was just as dark as me, but I have black features. You know, he didn't have black features. He had whatever he was from features, and so I remember sitting there. And like as these kids were looking at me, I was looking at the other kid who was also dark, kind of like implying like, oh, we're in this together then. But it was something that was like in my head constantly. I remember I did go home that night and I asked my mom, like, you know, is there something wrong here? Like, is there something you want to tell me? But it was a very a weird situation. And then at the same time, you know, kids aren't aware like that you're different until like the teacher starts talking about slavery. And then just the way it's explained, like, oh, Black people were slaves and white people were this. Like it really makes like this weird hierarchy in the classroom of kids, right?
Right.
So
right.
It was something different. And I swear, like, anytime the topic of Martin Luther King, I was just like crying in my seat, like, oh my God, everyone's trying not to look at me, but they're like looking at me. So it was interesting.
I get a like I said before, like it's just such an interesting take on that because, like I said, also a lot of people probably can relate to feeling like the only one, and then all of a sudden, all eyes are on you. So I just love the way your brain works. And like, is this something? Well, first, do you have a team to create these the series?
So it's me and LV and I.
Okay.
The process is basically just like, so I started writing down like all the messed up things that pretty much happened like in my life. And then the story part comes in like how to connect all of these experiences and make it like a solid season, a solid story. But for the most part, I do write, animate, edit, produce it all pretty much by myself.
Wow, that's super, super impressive. So I know you mentioned that you kind of write down your experiences that happened in your life, but how do you articulate that to others or your team rather, who may not have grown up with you? I don't know. Did they grow up with you? Like, how do you articulate the nuances of what happened?
Well, no, so my team did not grow up with me, but it's funny because I feel like people who aren't Black, they feel like they really can't say much on Black like experiences, right? So I'll be like, oh, this happened, and they'll just be like, all right on, let's let's work on that episode. You know, they don't really like, we don't really engage on it. I just write something solid. We'll go over it. We'll add some little like funny jabs, and then we'll just start on the animation right away. But they don't have much of like a opinion on it, other than like, oh, that sucks that you had to go through that. But that's pretty much it.
So like you that did you find connection with like things that you saw on TV, or what was that like to like all of a sudden be bombarded with this information like, okay, I'm Black, so I guess I should research this. I guess I should look into this.
That's exactly what I did. I went on the computer and was kind of just like, I wanted to see if there was famous people like me or something like that. I just wanted to know that there was more than Martin Luther King that like represented Black people. And so that, you know, took me through a whole a rabbit hole, and I started just, Snoop Dogg. I got obsessed with him.
But before you go any further, let's check out the next clip.
No. Let's see. Famous black people. No. I guess what I really wanted to find out is, how do you know if you're black?
English, mother.
That was kind of interesting.
Do you speak it? Yes. Then you know what I'm saying. Describe.
As a child, I've asked God, how do you use me and how can I live in that dream?
I must have been up for hours, just clicking away. I wasn't sure exactly what I was looking for, but my question hadn't exactly been answered either. Well, not until I came across this. Great Holy Jesus. Nothing had ever spoke to my 9-year-old soul in this way.
So I ain't holding nothing back, and motherfucker, I got 5 on the 20 sack. It's like that.
Ya apaga las luces y ponte a rezar.
Buenas noches.
Snoop Doggy Dogg. Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, santificado sea tu nombre. Diosito, yo quiero otra chihuahua. Y también quiero una bicicleta con una canasta para la chihuahua que me vas a dar. Pero lo más importante, quiero saber quién soy. O algo así, no sé si así se dice, pero no sé quién soy. Ok, gracias. Amén.
I have to ask, what was it about Snoop Dogg that captivated you so much?
I think it was the fact that we both had braids. We both had 2 braids, and we were both black, and we both liked rapping. And so I think that's where I was just like, oh. And I must have had a little bit of daddy issues and thought like, oh, maybe Snoop Dogg is my dad. I was like 9 or 10.
Yeah, you're so vocal and so vulnerable about the relationship that you have with your father. Like, how do you find the courage? I mean, if you want to elaborate on it, go ahead. But I just find it so amazing how vulnerable you are in your work.
Thank you. Well, I feel like being vulnerable allows, like authentic, real good work. And also, I mean, I feel like many people, when it comes to things like that, they're very like quiet about it for their own reasons. But I feel like just being as raw as possible, as real as possible, is how people can really relate and be like, oh, I'm not alone. And I don't know. I mean, I've never really been like shy about like my upbringing because my mother did such a great job in like raising me, or so I think, right? In raising me that I'm not like embarrassed of how I was raised or my father or any of that. So yeah, I feel like it makes good for a story as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's another point that why this series is so relatable to a lot of people. I think that a lot of people in that aspect, relationships with parents and things like that, I feel like a lot of people can relate to. So outside of Snoop Dogg, like you said that you thought that you had daddy issues, but like, what other celebrities or shows that you just kind of you were trying to pull at to get some sort of, someone that looks like you, or what other things did you enjoy?
Well, the interesting part of that is that I never, like, growing up, really seen content with like Black people on it. Growing up on Disney Channel, Black people are usually like the supporting character. So I never really seen it. And then my mom, she watches like novelas, like Spanish. What is it in Spanish? I mean, in English, novelas, like soap operas.
Soap operas, yeah.
Right. So most of my research was always done online. And so this like world of that world was like the only world I knew, because on actual TV, like, I wouldn't see anybody who represented someone like me. And I feel like that's also what has kept me like going with this cartoon, because it finally represents like that little girl, that little boy, like wondering who they are and where they're from or why they're different.
Well, yeah, in the clip we just saw, I think that you touch on something very powerful on why representation is so important, and how you were just like literally, and also I thought it was so funny how like the spelling, and you were like how it sounds, and you were like trying to spell that. I just hackled. It was so funny to me. But I think you touched on a lot, that like representation does matter. In multiple languages, even, like, it really is important for people to see themselves in the content that they're consuming. And you are contributing to that, the diversity of that, and offering different perspectives and everything. So congrats.
Thank you.
So I know that you talk about how your mother was very important to you in just raising you and pouring into you. Were there any conversations about Black identity, whether it be in the Latinx perspective or the American perspective? Were there conversations at the dinner table?
Not as much conversations. I think like at a certain age, I was like, I got the point. Like I get who I am. But I remember, I did ask my mom, like, why am I different? And so she was just like, oh, well, you look like your father. Your father is beautiful. I think you're beautiful. Because my thing was always like, I want to look like you. Like, I want to look like you. And she's just like, no, like, you're beautiful. You look like you. And, that's, but we didn't have much conversations, and mostly because I feel like she couldn't help me with that. She just loved me so much. And I feel like that's what really helped me love myself, because like she was just obsessed with me. And I don't know, I think she just, yeah, exactly. This comment says her mother always taught her to be proud of herself. So I think that's what really helped, because we really didn't have those conversations. And I feel like it's because I felt like she doesn't know. She wasn't raised, like, this is her first time raising like a Black daughter.
Right.
Her family from Mexico is completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the next clip, and where you talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
It's Mother's Day. We're gonna get into groups and make Mother's Day cards. If you don't have a mom, you can just sit this one out and work on your times tables. In that corner. Over there.
My mom is my best friend. She knows exactly how to cheer me up when I'm sad. She makes my favorite dish, enchiladas de queso with red salsa.
Can you pass me the red crayon? Do you want to borrow my brown crayon?
Huh? Why?
Here, let me fix that for you. I hate to break it to you, but I think you're adopted.
What's adopted?
Well, adopted is when your parents order you from a baby store.
No, it's not. It's when an alien takes you away.
No, it's not. It's when your mom and dad go buy you at the store.
Nuh-uh. My big brother said one of his friends got adopted and they never seen him again because the aliens took him and ate his eyeballs like chicharrones.
Wait, did he say chicharrones?
Waiting for my brother after school felt like an eternity. I wanted to find out the truth once and for all.
Nkumbu, your brother's here.
That's Hugo, my older brother. He's 4 years older than me and attends Montebello Intermediate, where all the big kids go.
Yep, definitely adopted.
Let's go.
He wasn't much of a talker. He liked to observe. The same way I was observing this family picture.
Ya siéntate, ya está la sopita.
So many memories with this unknown family. So many birthdays. So many picnics. Who knows where my true family is? Sopita de Letras always fixed everything. Just not today.
Ma, soy adoptada. Tengo que saber.
¿Estás loquita? Ya cómete la sopa.
Okay. I told you Sopita de Letras always fixed everything.
The truth is, I already knew I wasn't adopted. Sometimes we just need reassurance from those we love. Happy Mother's Day.
Aww.
I hate hearing my voice. Oh, man.
No. What a tender episode. What a tender episode. I have to ask you, like, how did you individually come into learning more about your unique identity?
It's been a process because I feel like I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember I did ask my mom when I had asked her why I was different, and she had mentioned, like, oh, it's because you look like your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I had thought, like, oh, so my dad is Black. But the way that society makes you think, I don't know, for some reason I was just like, well, if he's Black, like, how did you guys communicate? And she was like, he spoke Spanish, like, just like you. And like, for some reason, like, I had thought, like, oh, if you're Black, you don't speak Spanish. But that I was literally just like I'm a Black girl that speaks Spanish. But I was so little that, the way society shapes you, you start thinking these other ways. And so I think with that, it kind of helped me because my mom was like, oh, you're Dominican and you're Mexican. But I more so explored the Mexican culture, obviously, because I was just raised by my mom. And so I'm still like figuring out like the Black and Dominican side of me. The Black I've always had to live with, obviously being Black, but I'm still learning about, my culture and and all of that.
Look at you and your mom.
She's so little. Like, I love her so much.
The love you can see on screen, like I've seen a lot of your other content and this being one of them in particular. And you guys' relationship is hilarious. I literally can feel the love exude through the camera. This episode was super funny.
She's great. Like, she has to put up with me so much, which is why I love her. I'm always like, I'm gonna take care of you forever, and she's like, I'm trying to get away from you.
Do you guys live close by?
Yeah, like anytime I have like free time, I'm literally coming back to my mom's house all the time. And then, it also helps that she's actually the voice for the cartoon for the mom. So even though she like hates doing it, she will do it because she loves me. And then she like loves getting like other people's reactions, and she'll be at work like, oh, look, my daughter just came out with another episode. So it's great.
Did you have to teach her how to like do voiceovers? Like, what was that process like?
She hates me like because I get in such like, director's mode, and I'm like, that's not how you say it. Like, you have to feel like this and like that. And she'll be like, well, I'm not an actress. And I'm like, well, now you are an actress. So we'll just be going like back and forth. And then, but at this point now, I think we're in episode 16. She's definitely like doing it a lot quicker. Like I could literally send her like with the mic and everything, and she'll get the lines done like on her own. So it's really interesting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So like, there's so many components to creating an animated series. It seems like. Can you just walk me through like the basic rundown of how? Like, do you do the voices first? How does this all come alive? I'm super intrigued.
So I feel like every time I do a new episode, I'm always switching it up a little bit.
Okay.
But usually the way I start, so how I mentioned before that I had written down like all the messed up things that happened to me. So I'll start there. I'll grab like a little experience, and then I'll start building around that to connect it with the past episode and the next episode. And then I'll write down all the characters we have. And then I'll just start looking for people who want to do voiceovers. And so we'll do the voice recordings first. And then I start sketching the character, making the character. Or I do the characters first and then the voice. And then I'll change it a little bit, like depending on how the voice sounds. If it's like more youthful, I'll make the character look a little bit like younger. From there, after I do the characters, I sync it all together, start rigging them. Like you rig their arms, head, and then you like physically move, and the character will start moving. And then I edit it all together. Titles, credits, subtitles, music. Music is so important. It like really like engages like the audience. And then that's pretty much it. It's a lot more stressful than it sounds, but it's definitely a process. But I enjoy
We have a question. Does your brother participate in the series at all?
He does. He actually plays my actual brother as well. And it's difficult for him to do like the acting too. But since it's my brother, it's cool.
So the whole process, you walked us through that, right? How long does it take to do a full series? And like,
well, the series is still kind of going. It's been a little bit over a year, but each episode, I would say, now that I have all the templates, like I have all the characters already like registered on my computer, all the backgrounds, it's a lot quicker, and I'm also getting a lot better at it. But I would say if I were to start now with the script already, including like the voiceovers, the actual animation would probably take me about, I would say 3 to 4 days to do one episode. What probably takes me the longest is this actual writing of the script and getting like the people to do like the voices.
Do you hold auditions? Are like these your friends?
So I started off with mostly my friends, like that I grew up with, childhood friends. They're all like in the cartoon, which is awesome. And then now that I've kind of started networking and meeting other people, I've gotten a lot of different people that I've met like through Clubhouse, through mutual friends, through like actual recording studios to do voiceovers. And I don't really like audition them. I'll like send the script and I'll be like, oh, do you think you could play this character? Can you send me something? And then they'll send me like a little bit of audio and I'll be like, perfect. Yeah, I could work with that. And then like recently I'll get on a call with them and then kind of give them a little bit of direction on like who the character is, their intentions, where they come from. But yeah.
I mean, you are so talented. Like you wear so many hats, and I'm just so amazed. I'm like, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. So let's change the topic of conversation a little bit. Your show also talks about prejudice, racism, and those. How did you kind of come up with the idea on how to approach it with an animated series?
Well, because the whole purpose of the cartoon initially for me was to kind of just be as raw as possible,
right,
and kind of really show like the racism that happens. But as we started developing the cartoon more, I kind of wanted to show the racism not like full blown in your face, but just like little by little, like during certain topics of conversation in the cartoon, it's like, oh, that was kind of racist. So
right,
just very subtle, because I did want like kids to be able to like see this cartoon as well as adults, because initially it was just going to be like just full blown like racism, like a South Park version, but I don't know if I'm doing it very subtly. But
I think so. I think so. I thought it was really clever. Like I told you before, I think your work is so brilliant and intelligent. And I just really liked how you were so clever in your approach to talking about this. And so the clip that we're about to see, where the younger version of you kind of gets, I would assume, maybe one of their first experiences with a little bit of racism. So let's take a look.
Mijo, ¿qué estás haciendo? Ya conoces a tu papá. No le gusta que traigas amigos a la casa.
¡Gol! ¡Esas son mis Chivas!
Bonito. Te tengo que decir algo, pero no te enojes. Isaac trajo una amiguita.
¿Y eso qué?
Pero es negrita.
¿Negrita? A ver, Isaac, ven para acá.
¿Qué pasó?
¿Qué payasadas son esas? ¿Es tu novia?
¡Ew! ¡No!
Isaac, no me mientas. Vas a ver.
Vamos a hacer un proyecto.
Tú sabes que yo no soy racista, pero acuérdate, te casas
con tu raza.
Pero José, son niños. Es su amiga y van a hacer un proyecto.
Ya, pues ya. Pero me escondes mi cartera, tu bolsa y la licuadora.
Are they making licuados? Well, this is awkward.
Ah, qué bonito. Así que ahora le tengo que dar de comer a todos estos huerfanitos también. A ver, Isaac, ¿y cómo se llama tu amiguita, pues?
Es Ehcrama.
Ay, qué bonito nombre africano. Siempre inventando nombres, ¿verdad?
All I could think about was those mouth-watery, cheesy red enchiladas that I was about to indulge in.
Tú nomás dale pollo del Kentucky que comimos anoche.
Wait, what? Gracias. ¿De casualidad no tiene un chilito serrano? ¿Se va a acabar los nachos? And then Isaac had said,
Mamá, ya sabes que no me gusta el chile.
But I love chili. I can eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes I wonder if you love chili too. Or if you ever got treated the way I did. Do you ever feel like you don't belong? I hope to see you one day, Dad. But I'm writing everything in my journal so I won't forget a single detail to tell you. I love you, wherever you might be or whoever you might be. Love your daughter, Ehcrama.
So wait, were you outside really when this happened to you? Like, did you have to wait outside?
So this is a combination of two of my experiences, and then we added on to that in our little writing session. So I had one experience where it was one of my best friends. Her parents are Mexican, her grandparents are Mexican, and I think it was the first time I had ever gone to her house. And I remember like sitting there at the table, we were about to eat, and then the granddad was just like, oh, in Spanish, like, oh, they just sent this girl here so we could feed her. And I'm understanding him. And it was just very awkward. And then my best friend was like, Grandpa, she speaks Spanish. And he was just like, oh, okay. And he just like got up and left. And so that was like very awkward. I was already in high school. And I just didn't know like how to feel about it. I was like, all right, they're going to keep seeing me because she's my best friend, but, we'll see. And then another experience, I was around that age, and my mom couldn't pick me up from school. So I had to go to my friend's house. She lived like right next to the bus stop. And then I just remember, I don't remember much, but I just remember like they had me like sit in this little chair, and I couldn't even like move like from the chair. And they brought me a little bit of food while the daughter like was actually eating at the table, and I was just eating in this little chair my food. It was very weird. I remember my mom telling me like, oh, you're not going back there. Now that I'm older, she was telling me like, yeah, no, they were like racist, or I don't know what's wrong with them. Like that was like the last time I let you go there. And so I didn't really realize. So it was two experiences kind of combined together. And then LV, his dad, he's also Mexican. So he kind of like his dad's, or the dad, Isaac's dad in this episode was kind of inspired by LV's dad, because LV's dad would always be like, oh, you need to marry in your race. And that's how a lot of Latinos, like at least in the Mexican culture, they're very like strict about that, like, oh, marry in your race. And I think it's mostly because they just want somebody that speaks Spanish. Maybe, I don't know, for that communication barrier. But yeah, so it was just a combination of things that happened. So I didn't wave outside from the window.
Do you normally use, because this was, although you're touching on real things, real topics of conversation, has comedy always been something that kind of helped you in tough times when you've experienced things like this?
I think so, 100%. I feel like I would take everything very lightly. I wouldn't take anything very personal. And also, I think it's the fact that growing up, I was just very naive. Like, you would tell me something and I would believe it. But then at the same time, I was just so distracted that I'd forget like 2 seconds later and just like go find something else to be like amused about. But I think definitely comedy has helped me with this. Like, I still go through experiences, and I feel like more now because I'm able to really notice it. And I just like go on my phone and write it on my notes, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great for another episode. So I'm definitely like, I still take things lightly. I notice it more, but comedy, I think, has helped me like just never take anything too personal.
We have a question. What program are you using to animate?
So I'm using Animator and Illustrator from the Adobe Cloud. So it's like the same program as Premiere. They have those programs. So in Illustrator, I'll do the character or fix up the character, and then an Animator, you like animate it all together. And then I also use Premiere to edit it.
Okay. So the clip that we just saw, you touched on discrimination outside of your family. And one thing that the next clip that we're about to see, one thing that I thought was an interesting take also was you highlighted the discrimination within your own family. So let's take a look at that.
ven aquí. Esto no está completo, mija.
¿Sí? Mira. Princess, Hugo, tú y yo.
¿Y dónde está mamá, nena? ¿Y tus primos y tus tías? Cuando estaba bien chiquita, como de unos 8 meses, fuimos a México, a la ciudad de San Luis Potosí, y todos estaban bien emocionados para conocerte.
¡Tía! ¡Qué preciosa! ¡Dámela! ¡No, yo primero!
Ok. ¿Y qué más hace?
O sea, no es un juguete menso. Ya pásamela. Agugu gaga. Agugu gaga.
¡Agugu gaga! Ya, la estás asustando. No te asustes, mija. Ella espanta a todos. Ya paren de pelearse. Tía, ¿la quieres detener?
No, estoy ocupada ahorita.
Niños, siéntense que les voy a contar una historia. Esta es una historia.
No sé por qué piensas que es un problema.
¿Qué van a decir los demás?
No me importa lo que diga la gente.
Pero a mí sí. No solo te afecta a ti, pero a toda nuestra familia.
Bueno, pues mejor te dejo sola.
Muy buena persona, tenía muy buenos pensamientos.
Dame tu esfuerzo para seguirle adelante. Dame tu paz. Ya sabes cómo la gente puede ser. La gente juzga mucho. No. Vete con tu mamá. Aquí no. Vete. Ay, Dios. ¿Estás caminando? No te asustes, mija. No te doy miedo. No le digas a las demás, pero ya eres mi favorita.
Aunque todos tengamos nuestras diferencias, el amor siempre nos unirá.
Oh.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, it was one of mine too. My condolences. No problem. Yeah, so this one in particular, I think was one of my favorites. I think the whole series is amazing, but this one in particular was one of my favorites. Were you aware of what was going on when you were experiencing, certain people's biases within your own family?
No. So how this episode was inspired was because I think when my mom had found out that she was expecting me, they gave her a hard time because my dad was like a Black man, So not until they really got to know him and got to know me, then they were like, oh, okay, yes, we all have our differences, but family is family. So I was never aware. When we had gone to Mexico, I was only a few months old, so I don't have no idea, what was happening.
Right.
But I know that I don't know, the way like my family says it, that I left I had such a good spirit that they just when we came back to the United States, they were just like, oh my God, like I love her, and and I was just a few months old. And then when I went back, I think I was 15 years old or 14. And they didn't treat me like any different. I think by that time they already, knew me. It had been lot of years that had passed since they hadn't seen me. So it was just very it was very nice to see them again. But I remember like initially my mom was like telling me that story, so I was like, oh, this would be great. Because my auntie, she actually passed away a few days before I had finished that episode.
Really?
So I think it was 2 days, which was unfortunate because I really wanted her to see it.
Right.
Because she was the one that kind of had a little bit more of that problem with like color.
Right.
And so she was the one that ended up being like very like obsessed with me and loved me so much, and like even flew out here to take care of me. So yeah.
I think that's the beauty of the spirit, right? And getting to know someone and not having these preconceived notions about people, and really, really getting to know the individual, right? And you illustrated this so well in this episode. I think that was one of the reasons why this was one of my favorite. Like I said, I love the whole series. And you did mention that it's an ongoing project, but this one in particular really, really, really showcases that. So thank you for sharing that experience with us.
Thank you.
And so you're very close with your family, I'm assuming, the way you.
Well, as close as we can be, because all my family is literally in Mexico and the Dominican Republic. Right here, it's just my mom, my brother, and me. Like, it's just us three here. So I do take family like very serious and like close to my heart. Like whenever I have free time, like I mentioned, I come see my mom because right here, like they're the only two people that I have in my life. And that's like also what I strongly illustrate in the cartoon. That's literally just us three like navigating and figuring out life together. So I wish I could be like closer to my family from Mexico, but unfortunately they're like too far and they're all living their own lives. But yeah, and then my family from the Dominican Republic, I only know a few of them through like Facebook, but I want to go out there soon. I actually have never been to the Dominican Republic before, so it's on my list for sure.
All right. Like I said, this series, if you haven't, please go see it. It's on YouTube. And it's just so brilliant. It's so brilliant. Do you have any advice or tips for people that might want to become animators or illustrators? Like, do you have any advice for aspiring creatives out there?
Aspiring creatives, just get started. Like I have so many ideas in my head. Like I think probably 100 thoughts in 1 minute. It's probably not a lot, but like I just think so much. And I'm always thinking like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. Like literally just get started, focus on it for more, like at least I would say 5 years on whatever your craft is, like really focus on it. Because people give up just very easily. Yeah. And I hate saying like, oh, consistency is key, but it really is. Like that's really what it comes down to. Because you're not always gonna have like the energy to do it, you know, and maybe you might get like writer's block or something, but literally just get started, whether it's writing it on a piece of paper, networking with somebody, just get started. That would be my tip. And be consistent, enjoy what you do, and know that it's a process. It's not like easy. Nothing is supposed to be easy. But yeah.
I have to know before, time is winding down, but where are you going to take the story next, please? And can you offer us any spoilers for the fans out there?
Okay, well, the story, let me see, how can I? Well, the next season, it's going to be a little bit different. Ehcrama is now going to be older, and she's going to be exploring her Black culture. And since she's very obsessed with rap, you guys could expect a lot of music, a lot of rap, a a lot of new characters, big personalities. And yeah, I mean, because the reason we started with her little was because I really wanted people to know exactly like where this character came from and who she is, to then understand why she takes certain routes or makes certain decisions as she got older. So the next season, I think it's going to be a vibe. I think a lot of bangers.
Hey.
It's going to be cool. I think it's going to be fun and entertaining. And exploring more Black culture as well as the Mexican or Hispanic culture. But I think it's going to be great. And then the dad is going to be like a big reveal. I don't know how that's happening.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. So when can we expect the next season?
I don't want to like talk too soon. I feel like if I say it, then I really have to do it like, when I say it. But for sure this year, you know, fall, winter, perhaps.
Okay. Okay. I'll take it. So, like I said, it was such an honor to talk to you. Before we get out of here, do you have anything else that you want us to take notice of or be on the lookout for outside of Hella Black Mexican? Do you have anything, other projects you're working on?
Not currently. I do want to start writing more because I want to make like a live action type of short. But we're started as like a short or a little pilot with Afro Latinos. So it's kind of like on the vibe I'm on. The cartoon does take a lot of my time, and I feel like I haven't put enough time into it. So I think for now, that's going to be like my main, be like the tune right now.
Right. All right. So tell everyone where they can find all of your work and where they can find you on social media platforms. Take it away.
All right. So you guys could find the cartoon on YouTube. It's at Hella Black Mexican. The Twitter is Hella Black Mex. TikTok is Hella Black Mexican. Instagram is Hella Black Mexican. And my personal Instagram is Ehcrama. It's EHCRAMA.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It has been such an honor to talk to you. And you have even inspired me to continue creating. So thank you. And thank you to the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute. And if you don't normally tune into us, please come back to Afro-Picks and we'll continue the conversation. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you soon.